So, as I said, I had good times and bad times, mostly bad times. There was far more bad times than good times. But I don't regret it. And why? Because look at my family. They're fabulous. They're great kids. I love my kids. I cannot complain to God about how life has treated me. Because somehow, no matter how bad things get, there's always the sunshine. There's always something the next day or the next year or something comes out really good. I'll even, many years ago, in fact, some woman stole my doctoral dissertation and published it as her own. And it was a hard blow because it put me behind like 20 years of my academic work. But I realized recently, she did me a favor. If I had finished my doctoral dissertation in 1987, Father probably would have sent me to Korea or China or Russia, and I would have been separated from my family. And then these poor little walkers would have had no daddy there to guide them and tell them how to behave in high school. So actually, as a result of being damaged by this woman, I got to spend more time with my kids, for which I'm very grateful. And so, to me, there's no downside ultimately. If you go for, Father even said, people someday will want to pay indemnity for the restoration of the world, and they won't be able to because it's already paid. And they'll be full of regret that they didn't participate when they had the chance. So for me, this is really important that we can be grateful, not only for the blessings, but also for the difficult times, which bring us closer to God. This is a very important point. But to go on with existentialism, what's it to do with existentialism? As I said, we were happy 40 years ago because we joined the church. We made that decision. Now, of course, for a second gen here, you're saying, I didn't make a decision. I was born in this damn place. But it doesn't matter. You can still decide. Yeah. This is the point of existentialism. Any of you ever study philosophy in college? Okay. So those of you who have studied philosophy, you know, existentialism began 240, 50 years ago with Søren Kierkegaard in Denmark. He was a very devout Christian who really, a lot like after my own heart, he really thought the church sucked. It was like big time. The church is terrible. It's just a social club, you know. You know, when people start getting old, they think about dying. I better go to church and impress God with my presence here, you know. And also people, you know, I can run for mayor afterwards, you know, because everyone knows what a great churchgoer I am. He said, no, the point of the church is not a social club. You have to make a passionate commitment to the gospel. So he said, even if the idea of God being incarnate in a human being makes no logical sense, if you're that kind of person, it doesn't matter. You can still choose to believe and choose to follow the teachings of Christ. And so he was very big on this. And he was sort of the father of existentialism. Then 50 years or so later, you know, Friedrich Nietzsche, who was very famous. Most people think he's an atheist. I'm not even sure he's an atheist. He like Kierkegaard and like Marx, he hated the church. He thought the church makes people just into slaves, into sheep. And it's true, if you go back 200 years, what was the whole point of the church? They were telling people, well, you should just obey. Whatever you're told to do, just obey. Be meek, be humble. Don't ruffle the feathers. Don't oppose the powers to be because they are ordained by God. And if you oppose the king or the prince or the whatever, or the church, you're going to hell. So he thought this was horrible. And so he said this was a slave morality, and he wanted people to have, you know, real morality, like doing what you think is right. So his idea was, you know, in the medieval times, the medieval knights, if you offended them, or especially if you offended the woman that they loved, well, that was it. They throw down the gauntlet, you know, the swords, you know, chop, chop, chop. But he said that's real heroism. Somebody saying, I will not stand for this affront. I will speak up. I will stand up for what I believe. So Nietzsche was not really counseling people to be evil. He was saying people should do what they think is right, and they should stick to it. And if you make a commitment to do what's right, don't be a wiener or a whiner. don't sway. Be true to yourself. So, in the 20th century, existentialism was mostly taken over by atheists, Albert Camus and Jean-Paul Sartre. And despite their atheism, they hit on a lot of really good points. Sartre's famous expression is, existence precedes essence. He said, in Christianity, everybody, I'm a child of God, blah, 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 and therefore I can do this. He said, no, you are what you do. Now, I think it's a little bit both. Obviously, the principle says how you behave, what you do, affects your spiritual growth. Mm-hmm. So it's both essence and existence. But the real contribution of Sartre and Camus was we have absolute radical freedom. It doesn't matter where you are, what you do, you always have the freedom to choose how you are going to respond to your situation. He said you should never. The real thing about existentialism was the idea of authenticity. We should live authentically, and by that they mean we should consciously, deliberately, thoughtfully, passionately choose to do what we do, and not be on autopilot. As I said, I do teach philosophy and ethics at Widener University, which is south of Philadelphia. It's near the Delaware border. And I'm always intrigued when it's election time. I'll ask my students, so who are you going to vote for this time? I'm not, trying to test you on this. I'm not particularly partisan. I can know who you vote for. So they say, well, I'm going to vote for so-and-so, whatever it is. And I say, well, why are you voting for that person? Well, because all my friends are voting for that person. Okay, but why are your friends voting for that person? Well, because other friends are voting for that person. So in other words, you don't have any clue as to why you're voting for somebody other than it's cool, it's the in thing to do, So in this election period, if you're a Trump person and your friends are all Trumps, then like, I got Trump. If you're a Hillary person and your friends are all Hillary person, like, I got to go Hillary. But the vast majority of Americans really don't know. They haven't looked deeply into the other candidate to know what they've actually done with their lives. If they did, we'd probably go home and throw up. But anyway, I'm just saying. No, those who are Trump fans, don't get me wrong. I see a Trump fan back there. Go ahead. I understand I really do understand what the issues are. But I would say this, that neither party has put forth their best candidate, in my honest opinion. But it doesn't matter. I'm just saying most people don't really think about what they do or why they do it deeply. Now, you guys may be different. And I'm not judging you guys at all. But here's the thing. 40 years ago, you joined Unification Church because you wanted to. But over the years, life crept up on you. And you have financial problems. You have problems, children, adult children. You don't know what to do. You're really struggling with this or that. And then you'll say, well, you should give $300 for this or $200 for that. Back in the day, that was like a day's, we got fundraise one day and make $300. Like, what's the big deal? Okay, well, make money, give it. Now it's like, oh my God, the church said I have to give $300. Why should I give $300? Well, there's this holy wine that's like perfection stage holy wine. Like, what do we need perfection stage holy wine for? I don't know, but father and mother are the true parents. So they said we need it. I'm just going to take it on faith that we need it. But here's the thing. Mother never said, you have to give. In fact, the word went out, you don't have to give anything. You should give what you want to give, if you want to give something. But I would say, if you can get into heaven for $300, it's pretty good, pretty good bargain. But I don't know. But you see, the thing is about existentialism, and why I keep coming back to it, it's like, in existentialism, you can make any decision you want. But two caveats. One is, You have to do it thoughtfully and deliberately. And number two, no whining. We are the church of holy wine, but sometimes I think we're also the church of holy wine. Reverend so-and-so, this is what I want to do. Headquarters can do what I want to do. Look, as much as I don't like being a part of any church, I am a part of this church. So if I don't like what the church is doing, and I think something else should be done, then why not just do it? Just do it. I told many people recently, if the whole Unification Church, the whole structure collapsed tomorrow, it wouldn't bother me at all. Like, okay, it collapsed. So what? We're still blessed couples. I found a quote, just where Father says the whole point of our life is not. In fact, I got it on my phone. No, this is it. I don't want to misquote Father here. The greatest purpose of religion is to build true families. That is the purpose of the coming of the Messiah. Not to create some additional religion. My God, the world has enough religions already. So our goal is not to create a bigger, better religion than other people, but to show people in this world how to create true families. Now, how do we do this? We do this by centering on our original mind. Another quote from Father. The original mind is God's starting point and the origin of the kingdom of heaven. That's where we're supposed to be. This is the age of eternal good. So, as I said, the thing with existentialism is number one, choose deliberately, think thoughtfully, and number two, don't complain. If you make a choice and you find out later it was a bad choice, okay, don't blame other people. Make a better choice. When I was lecturing back in New York City back 40 years ago, I was pretty persuasive as a lecturer. I'm not bragging, just facts, right? Stanley was there. And he's one of my success stories here. But people would come to me after a 3-day workshop or whatever, or 7-day workshop and say, so, Reverend Miller, Mr. Miller, does this mean I should join the Unification Church? And I would say, I don't know. I'm not God. I can't make that decision for you. Now, I got a lot of trouble for saying that. My leaders all want me to say, yes, you want to join the Unification Church. But no, I'm thinking, if you remember the 70s, it was brutal. It was brutal. I mean, people were lucky to last a month, right? So somebody says to me, should I join the church? I don't know. Can you last a week? Can you last a month? I don't know. But what I say to them, if you think, I can't tell you what to do because that's between you and God. But if you think the principle is valuable, then I encourage you, please study it. Please go to another 3-day workshop or 7-day workshop. Take the book home with you. Read it. And then, if your heart, if your mind says, yes, this is what I must do, then do it. Do it. Then, you see, if I tell someone to join a church and then a few months later they're having a miserable time and they got an MFT captain who's not very nice to them, say, oh, that Reverend Miller told me to join. No, but if they join of their own free will, if they join from their own mind, heart, and conscience, that's a totally different story. And the people who joined, because they felt it was the right thing to do, are much more likely to stick around than those who don't. Now, as I said, we've been through a lot of stuff, we've got a lot of problems, and so complaint begins to grow in our heart. But I remember reading somewhere, the Father said, one of the worst things you can do is to try to take back your offering. Try to resent your offering. To grumble and complain because it's like spitting on your offering. Look, our minds change, our perspectives change over time. So maybe what we would do today, or maybe what we did long ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, is not what we would do today. Okay. So do something different. But you shouldn't regret what you offered with a pure heart. You should never regret any offering made with a pure heart. God can accept that offering. Even if the leader steals all the money and goes to Brazil. That's not your fault. That's not your problem. You made the offering. They went and bought a $1,000 golf course thing. Right? I heard these things, right? Oh, they're taking all the money and buying, what do you call it? Country club memberships. Okay, I didn't give the money for that purpose, but that's their problem, and it's a big problem for them, not my problem. The Catholic Church had this problem back in the Middle Ages, right? The Cathari and the Albigenses back in the 1400s, they were saying, your offering is no good if the priest is no good. And the Pope said, no, if you make an offering, the offering is good. If you make it with a pure heart, your offering is good. But if the church is not using your money the way you want to use it, then okay, don't give anymore. I mean, don't do something you're going to regret or complain about. Remember, existentialism, no whining. If you do something and it doesn't turn out right, then do something different.